What if AI doesn't just imitate human thinking, but rediscovered it? Here's how large language models evolved the same fast and slow thinking your own brain runs on.
A large language model can effortlessly break down the nuances of quantum field theory, write functional Python code in seconds, and translate poetry from Mandarin to English. But if you ask that same model to count the number of R's in the word strawberry, it often fails completely. When we see these bizarre blind spots, it's tempting to assume artificial intelligence operates as a kind of alien mind, or that it's simply a statistical parrot, blindly guessing the next word without any real underlying logic. But cognitive scientists are starting to look past the surface outputs. They are taking classic psychological evaluations, the exact same tests used on animals and humans for decades, and running language models through them. The results reveal a specific pattern. When exposed to rigorous testing, these digital networks do not fail like calculators breaking down. They make mistakes in ways that mirror human cognitive errors. This side-by-side diagram tracks an artificial network and a human brain processing a garden path sentence, a structure designed to trick the reader. Both systems take the bait, hit a dead end, and have to pause to recalculate. They also share our specific flaws in episodic memory, heavily favoring the first and last items in a long list while jumbling the middle. To understand why a silicon algorithm acts so remarkably human, we have to stop treating the AI as an isolated mystery. We have to look in the mirror and examine the dual architecture of our own thought processes. Psychologist Daniel Kahneman mapped out a framework for human cognition divided into two distinct speeds. He labeled the brain's automatic, instantaneous reflex to known information as System 1. When someone asks you the capital of France, the word Paris appears in your mind instantly. You don't consciously calculate the answer. Parallel modular networks in your brain process the factual association without any deliberate effort on your part. Take a look at this structural model of an AI network. This represents the machine equivalent of System 1, known as in-wait processing. An input enters the network and instantly triggers a specific pattern across billions of static parameters. Because the data is permanently baked into the network's weights, it can compile massive amounts of knowledge and spit it out as an immediate reflex. It operates entirely on instinct. But instinct has severe limitations. System 1 provides the raw associative power for both minds, but it is less effective for solving novel, multi-step logic problems. To handle complex tasks, humans rely on what cognitive scientist Stanislas Dehaene defines as the global neuronal workspace. This is System 2. It requires intense, top-down attention and active effort. This animated model shows the workspace in action. The brain pulls isolated data points from long-term storage into a central hub. Here, it holds the information in short-term memory, combines operations, and plans out a deliberate sequence of actions. Large language models run a mechanical analog called in-context processing. The transformer architecture uses residual data streams and attention heads to form a digital scratchpad, a temporary workspace isolated from the static weights. When confronted with a logic puzzle, modern models use this scratchpad to generate hidden thinking tokens. They test hypotheses, break the task into manageable subroutines, and verify the math before finally outputting an answer. When forced to execute deep logic, both the biological brain and the silicon matrix rely on the same strategy. They use a mental scratchpad to hold and manipulate data. How did an artificial neural network, built entirely out of code and electricity, arrive at the same operational modes as biological wetware? It comes down to selective pressure. Over millions of years, biological brains evolved to predict environmental outcomes to survive. Over millions of training cycles, AI models are penalized for failing to predict the next word in a sequence. This is architectural canalization. It suggests that when any system is tasked with predicting reality at internet scale, a dual-speed architecture, one part reflexive, one part deliberate, is a mathematically efficient way to solve the problem. These parallels in weight-based reflexes and scratchpad-based logic aren't a coincidence. They represent a functional convergence between two vastly different systems trying to solve the exact same puzzle of prediction. For cognitive scientists, large language models function as a new category of model organism. Because their internal processes are transparent, they offer a window into the mechanics of thought that we can't easily find in biology. Historically, scholars like Noam Chomsky argued that central cognition, our ability to rapidly understand novel information and use language creatively, was an unsolvable mystery. The human brain was simply too dark and dense to observe these rapid processes in real time. Now, by studying the mechanics of our silicon cognitive cousins, we can isolate and measure the pathways that govern reasoning. By probing the machine, we are gaining a blueprint for the wetware in our own heads. We cannot confirm if these algorithms possess the biological spark of conscious experience, but they have established a profound structural link between silicon and biology. They show that the architecture of human intelligence is a solvable puzzle, and for the first time, we have a working model to study.